What's going on, guys? We got my boy Jamie here. How'd you do today, man?
I got 4th place today at Locals with my Dragonmaid deck. So we have a deck profile for y'all today.
Love to hear it. So let's get straight into it then.
Okay, so on to our main deck. We run 3 kitchens, 3 parlors, and 3 chambers, as well as 1 nurse. So we run 1 nurse because nurse is really only useful when you have any of the rest. You don't really want to see multiple nurses. You can do any combo starter with any combination of parlor, chamber. If you see chamber, you can search for hospitality to pitch or to summon the parlor or the kitchen, and then to grab out the level 7 dragons, the Pinkex, the Earnesses, and the Lorpars. I run 2 Lorpars because Lorpar has an effect where you can discard to negate the activations of opponent's monsters, and you don't really want to see too many of the big dragons, or else they just end up clumping your hand. For the other spells, we run the 3 Tidings. Your main play is to normal summon Parlor, or just summon Parlor effect to pitch Tiding for next turn, where you can resummon if you have Nurse, to bring back Nurse in the graveyard and resummon Parlor. So you want to get Tiding in the graveyard. If you have no way to get Tiding in the graveyard, then you can just set it, and then it's a bounce for the next turn. We run 3 Hospitalities. Hospitalities will summon an extra body on the board, as well as pitching any of the big dragons into the graveyard. 2 Changeovers. I run 2 just because Cosmic Cyclone's pretty big around, and it's pretty bad when you play. Like, the idea for Changeover is you want to have it in the grave to bounce one of your dragons so you can put it back in your hand so you can play it over and over. If it gets Cosmic Cyclone and banish, it's pretty bad to, you know, run out of the cards. So I do want 2 in case I do get Cycloned on one of them. And 1 Downtime. This is like a luxury card. If all the other stuff goes, I get multiple turns. I can play Chamber to get the downtime, this continuous trap. I can target one of my Dragonmaids, bounce. I can return a spell from opponent's field back to their hand, or I can search for a Dragonmaid card. So that is the main deck. So now on to my other stuff, my hand traps and such. We run a Bestial Magnamute and a Bestial Druid's Worm. I don't run the Lubellion just because this isn't really a bestial deck, but the extra dragons are useful, so I can disrupt my opponent. I can grab an extra dragon with Magnamute. I can remove a special summon monster when Druid's Worms leaves, and they're level 6s, so if I play Changeover with any level 4 Dragonmaid, I can get Shio out. We run the standard hand traps. We run 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Drolls, they're really good. We run 3 Super Polys. The Super Poly is really good in this deck because Tiding has a once per turn effect of either from banishing graveyard or activating on the field. So sometimes you don't want to activate Tiding on the field. You would just rather use Super Poly to pitch Tiding so you can get the Tiding effect immediately from graveyard. Okay. We have a Called by the Grave, which is limited 1, and this used to be 2 Called by, so we just run Cross Out instead. 1 Triple Attack and 3 Infinite Impermanence.
Very nice.
That is the deck. All right, for my extra deck, we run 3 Dragonmaid, House Dragonmaids, 2 Shios. You generally want to run less of Shios than House because Shios negate effect requires you to have House Dragonmaids in your extra deck if the game goes very long. And sometimes, like, if you don't have enough House Dragonmaids, you actually can't negate with Shio. So you want to have, you can probably go 2-1. I just like the 3-2, just to have more of the negates for the Dragonmaid. For my Super Poly targets, I run Starving Venom, Dragostapelia, Mud Dragon, Triff, Mysterion for the Brandon matchups, and Garura. These do pretty well. The only dark I have in my deck will be Chamber, but I mean, Dragonmaids, all the attributes. You have Nurse, which is Earth. You have Kitchen, which is Fire. You have Parlor, which is Wind. So those cover a pretty wide variety of ranges with Mud Dragon and Garura. And darks everywhere right now. These are the main darks. If they have 3 darks, we can go Triff. If 2, we can go Starving Venom. And then I have fusions. If I have fusions already, we can go into Dragostapelia. And then I run 1 sphere. This is a really good turn 1, where if I go, for example, I go Chamber to search Hospitality. I can play Hospitality, get one of my other attribute Dragonmaids. That's 2 on board. I get to search out one of the bigger dragons, and then I can go into Sphere immediately. And the next turn, I can search Nurse, and then to bring back the other Dragonmaid that I pitched for Hospitality. So this is pretty good. And then I run the Nightmare package. This is really just to link climb into access code if I determine that I have game. Access code with Nightmare is at 5300, and it works really well because all my bigger dragons, the Lorpars and the Tinkeks, are 2700, so that's swing 8k for game. This didn't really apply today in any of my games, but it does sometimes come up, so this is the leftover space I have in my extra deck, and that is all for the extra. All right, and finally we have our side deck. So I only have 1 Gamma Seal, so I'm only playing 1, but this is pretty good just to get rid of things that I can't deal with. We'll run 2 DD Crows, 3 Dark Ruler No More, Book of Moon, and then our back row hate cards. We have 2 Cosmic Cyclones and 1 Duster. We run 3 evenly matched for the going second matchups. So if going second, they have a bunch of cards. This is just the standard. I'll probably side in this, back row hate, any monsters, and then Gamma Seal for the big monsters. And that is the extra deck.
Awesome. All right, so again, congratulations on top 4, but do you have any shout outs or any final thoughts on the deck?
No, this is just my second locals. It's been really fun. No shout outs really, but Dragonmaids is just always a good deck. It was a beginner deck to play Master Duel. It really teaches you fundamentals of the game, so I'm really glad I could bring it to locals and perform so well on it. So thank you all for this deck profile.
Yeah, hey, well, thank you. Congrats, man.